For more videos like this, please visit enlistedairmanguide.com.
Alright, so I'm going to be going over with you how to set up Power Automate. You don't have anything here, these are your different automations. So we're just going to create one from scratch, flow, basically everything that's going to automate. And this is going to be, we're just going to call it Video MilPDS. So, Video MilPDS. It's going to then load, getting things ready for us. Perfect. So just a little overview, kind of how this works. Obviously your file save, all that. You can save it, run the automation. Here are all the different things that Power Automate can automate. Here is all the order of the automations, and here are the different variables built in that automation. So the first one is we need to launch Excel. So I'm just going to click that. Obviously Power Automate can do other things, but we're just going to be launching Excel. So we're going to do a blank document. All that looks good. We're going to click Launch Excel. The next thing that we want to do is we want to display a message. So we're going to click Display a Message. Boom. And then what we're going to do for the display message is just put that in there. Boom. And that's all we're going to put for the display message. It doesn't really matter what you put here. This is kind of just a pop-up. You could technically remove this, but I like it there. So display a message. Then the next thing that we need to do is we need to read the data from Excel. So we're going to read from the Excel. And then from the Excel, we want a value of range from the cells. We're going to start with column A, row, and then we're going to go to 200. So we can do 200 people in MilPDS at a time. And that looks good. Save. Then after that, we need to set a variable counter. So we're going to go to set, and then variable, boom, set a variable. And then we're going to name this new variable counter. And then we're just going to set the variable as 1. Think of that just like a placeholder. That's all really it's doing. Next, we need to build up a loop function where it's going to cycle through all of the social security numbers that we need. So the next thing we're going to do is for each. And then we're going to do for each. And then what we're going to do for each is value to iterate. You can click this little X. It has all of your different, like what you've used so far. So I'm just going to use Excel data and then current item. Boom. And then I'm going to save. And now I've got my little loop where it's going to look for everyone's social. Now the next one isn't needed, but I do it anyways because sometimes MilPDS is slow. I'm just going to put a wait duration of 1 second. Just so that way, like the transition in case MilPDS is slow. The next thing we need to do is send keys. So I'm just going to put send keys right here. Okay, and then right here. Put a little bit more delay for the keystrokes in case MilPDS is slow. So what here, this is the important part. This is the only thing that you'll ever have to change. I'm just going to click save, but let's say this was a future class. So let's say this was a senior NCO class or whatever else. I change this number, I change the class, and then I change the date. Those 3 things are the only 3 things you have to change because it's going to input them on every single student. Just change those things. That's it. Obviously, when you first build it, put your base in there. This is my base, so put your base in there. But once you set your base, you're not changing bases. So that's good to go. Okay. Then the next thing is so this is going to send all that top section of MilPDS. So the next thing we need to do is send the social security number. So instead of this one, what we're going to do, you can click the X if you want. We're going to send current item. The current item is basically what the social is. So I'm just going to put that in there. So we're going to send the social. And then after the social, we need to add that 7A thing right there to close it out. Boom. So it's going to put all the top section, put their social, and then put the 7A. That's basically what this loop's for. And that's going to be for number A1. And now we want to do another display message. Again, display message is a good pausing point because you have to click OK for it to keep running. And boom. Just going to put that in there. So, hey, we sent the social and the counter. That's the variable we set. So, like whatever social we're on, save in MilPDS, new button, then click OK, or the next one, cancel to stop. And then this message button is going to have an OK or cancel, so that way we can just stop. And then the variable is produced, button pressed. Simple as that. And so now we need an if. And the reason the whole point is an if is if someone clicks cancel, let's say they only had 20 socials and they wanted to upload, or 50, or because we can do 200 at a time, because we set up here, we just need the option to stop. So I'm just going to do an if. Going to add an if. And I'm going to click up here, click our little X. If the button is pressed, right? Cancel. Simple as that. And then if the button is pressed, we have to cancel. We need to exit loop. So if someone presses cancel at a certain point, it'll just stop. But if they don't press it, we need to increase the counter so we can go to the second social security number, or the third, or the fourth, right? We need to increase that variable. So I'm going to go here, type increase. And then we're going to increase the counter by 1. Increase the counter by 1. So that'll go from the first row to the second row to the third row. And I just need to pull that right down here. So it looks like that. And so that way it'll just keep cycling through every one social that we copied and pasted on that Excel. And then lastly, I like a display message to let me know again that, hey, everything went well. Again, the display messages are optional, but I think they make it run a lot smoother. And so then a nice display message. All socials have been sent. And I'm just going to put that right at the end. And then boom. And then I'm going to click save. Okay, now it's saved. And now when I want to run this, I'm going to click run. And you can just open this back up at later points and just click run. And this is how it works. What it does is it pops up in Excel. And it's going to give that display window that we made. And then in here, I would paste, these aren't real socials. Let's say these are all the socials of the students. Okay. And then once I am done with the socials, all I would do is open MilPDS, click in that very first box that has the base location. That's why I put that wait second in there. And then what it'll do is it will start populating like that. So literally all you have to do is click OK, and then it will populate their stuff. And then all you have to do when you're done is click save record, and then click new student, and then click OK, and it'll continue populating everyone's stuff. Boom. That's pretty much it. And then if I only had 3 socials, I can click cancel and be done.
For more videos like this, please visit enlistedairmanguide.com.